All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural meeting of the Infrastructure and Growth Committee. Thank you, everybody who is joining us this afternoon on live stream. This triennium, His Worship has given us the option to start the meeting with a reflection. And I am going to follow in his footsteps and do that. And the reflection that I have for us today is one of the traditions of old. So until last triennium, each full council meeting that begun was started with the council prayer, which is, Almighty God, grant to us all needed guidance, wisdom and judgment as we face the tasks before us, and enable us now and always worthily to discharge the sacred trust placed by the people in our hands. Amen. Which I think is pretty poignant for us all to remember as we make some pretty substantial decisions going forward. So we have one apology from Councillor Bond today, who I understand is unwell. So can I have a mover that's accepted? Thank you, Councillor Boyle, and seconded Councillor De Vries. All those in favour?
Aye.
Do we have any declarations of interest this afternoon?
Chair, I have one with item 10 on the agenda that involves my day job, so I'll abstain from discussion and voting.
Excellent, we'll have that recorded, and I'll note that for item 10. The first paper that we have on the agenda today is tab 4, which is, firstly actually we have public forum, which is Mr. John Collins. The floor is yours. I'm sure you've been here before. You have 10 minutes. You can choose to do with say your piece and have some questions, or you can fill that up with your entire speech. So the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. I'm John Collins, resident of Oamaui. I'm speaking for a number of Oamaui residents, some of whom are sitting behind me. I'm speaking about our road, or collectively Moko Moko and Oamaui roads, which is the only way in and out of the village of Oamaui from State Highway 1. I'll give you a wee bit of history first. We have petitioned the council, I think it was 2 terms ago. The numerous email requests for service, phone calls, there's been newspaper articles, etc., about the state of Oamaui Road. We would like to see it sealed. It's 4 kilometres of gravel. So Oamaui Road is no longer fit for purpose. When it was built, there was just a few people coming in and out of there once in a while. It's not a rural farm road. It is access for a rapidly growing community of people. It carries a high level of daily use, now far more than it was ever designed for, I believe. It's unsafe, and it's not easy for emergency access, fire engines, ambulances, police, whatever's required out there. That makes sealing of the road essential. So I'll speak a bit about current usage. We have approximately 67 permanent residents living in Oamaui, and that's growing. It's growing quite rapidly. Your own building records or building department will show you how much building activity is going on out there at present. Of those, at least 46 residents use the road daily, going to work, to school, taking kids to school, and other essential travel. The road is heavily used by visitors, particularly in the summertime. I've seen up to 80 cars parked around Oamaui Beach, on the beach, in the parking area and over by the evaporation ponds. There's a walking track there which is becoming increasingly popular. As I said, the beach is very popular with fishermen and also just beachgoers in the summertime. Traffic is constant in the summertime. Oamaui Camp, the YMCA camp, is heavily used, particularly in the first part of the year. Busloads of school children coming and going, support staff, parents, the whole lot. That gets really busy. And yeah, the current state of the road, it creates a real risk to people in emergency situations. We have vehicles going off the road on one particular corner where Moko Road joins Omauri Road. The problem being the corrugations that form in the road. The corrugations in potholing, and these, like, they send the grader out, but 3 days later, they're back. We had a grader last Monday. It was late, like 2 weeks late. But already the road is becoming difficult to pass and dangerous. Sometimes the potholes are so bad that people drive off the road to get around them. And I was doing that several weeks ago on my ute with a ladder on the back. The ladder got snailed up in the trees overhanging the road because I was right off the road to miss the potholes. Didn't come to grief, but it was not a great experience. Shouldn't be happening on a public road. So particularly on the corner of Moko and Omauri roads where they meet, it's a right angle turn. It corrugates very badly and very quickly. It also potholes very badly and very quickly. When you're using it, we're either forced to go right off the road on the far left, which is not possible on one side because of a ditch, or we're forced to drive on the wrong side of the road into incoming traffic, which, yeah, it's a blind corner basically. But the potholing and the constant corrugations force you onto the wrong side of the road, and you can't see who's coming the other way. Is it 3 minutes? Right. Left. Oh, okay, I've got to get on it. Despite the best efforts at maintenance, the gravel surface simply can't keep up. The road's not graded often enough and deteriorates quickly. Loose gravel, deep ruts, potholes, soft edges cause vehicles to slide or lose traction. I haven't counted how many cars go off the road, but there's, it's a regular occurrence. Visitors who are not used to gravel roads face an even higher risk. So current maintenance isn't enough. Really, the grader needs to be parked out there permanently, and they could send a driver out every 3 or 4 days, and that would kind of keep it going. But as I said before, once a month is what they aim for, apparently. It just doesn't work because the road is back to square one within 3 or 4 days. We've heard all sorts of quick fixes using asphalt millings. It didn't work, they just potholed badly. Somebody suggested lowering the speed limit and putting more warning signs up. Well, that's great, except nobody takes much notice of those in the real world. Another one I've heard is stutter bars on the loose metal. Well, that would just make the potholes even worse. So we're asking that council acknowledge that there is a significant increase in everyday visitor use, including the role of the YMCA camp. Recognise Omauri and Moko roads as a genuine safety and emergency access issue. Prioritise sealing the road as a necessary infrastructure upgrade for our community. We're not asking for footpaths or street lights or sealing of Whalers Crescent, just the in and out road. And we're asking for we're requesting a written report on the road condition and how it can be made safer. Just in closing, Omauri residents rely on this road every single day. Visitors, children at school camps and emergency services rely on it too. We have had a house fire out there. We're simply asking for a road that is safe, reliable and fit for purpose. There's also a dust nuisance there, particularly for people who live along Moka Road, along the front, beachfront. Traffic in the summertime is constant, and if it hasn't rained for a day or two, there's dust everywhere, including in the water tanks, because that's how we get our water out there off the roof. Cheers, thanks for listening to me.
Thank you very much, John, for coming and speaking to us today. We've got about 3 minutes left in the 10, if anyone has any questions. Councillor Ludlow and then Councillor Pottinger.
Thanks for coming along, John. I have a question. Would the residents accept a portion of the cost of the ceiling as a targeted rate on Maui properties in the first instance, with the ongoing maintenance being the responsibility of council?
I couldn't answer that right now. Last time we did a petition, we had about 85% of residents behind us. We have two lots of people out there, people who are permanent residents, fully invested in the place, all ratepayers, and we also have quite a few people who have holiday homes. I think there's about 16 holiday homes in total. Typically, people that have holiday homes there end up living there permanently. But some of those people don't want the road sealed because they think it's a nice, quaint little place and it keeps the hoons out, which it doesn't. And they come in once a fortnight, once a month or something, so they don't have to suffer the road day in, day out. So I really can't answer that, but what would that cost? What would the cost be?
I'm sorry, we're not allow questions back. So, Councillor Pottinger, it's your turn.
Thank you, Chair. Look, my question, John, is around, have you had a price for the ceiling at all? Just has someone given you an indicative price at all?
Not recently, but I have heard figures bandied around before, and again, I'm just a private individual who lives there.
No, that's fine. I just wondered, because my next question is, has it ever been in front of council before, as far as asking the same question you've done? You've been here before?
Yes.
Or someone else has been?
Yes, this is ongoing. We've been here. We had a petition back in, I think, in Shadbolt's last tenure as mayor.
Okay, last time. So I can't, yeah. So we've
And
never...
I think you were at that meeting.
Yeah, I think we've never had a price put in front of us
No.
for us to either vote yay or nay on. So that's fine, thank you.
Well,
Sorry, thank you for that, Councillor Pottinger. I believe that these discussions have come up through the LTP process, and they're likely to do so again now that we've had it brought to our attention. So thank you very much for coming in this afternoon.
could I just say one more thing, please? Yeah, I know it costs money, but it's not just a financial consideration, it's a safety consideration. Sooner or later, somebody's going to be badly injured or killed. It's also, we're ratepayers, and, you know, we're all here together. We all work together.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Very much appreciate you taking the time to come, all the way in from Maui, and we'll see you again. Thank you.
Cheers, thank you very much.
All right, next on the agenda we have tab 4, we need to receive our late item, which is tab 4.1, which is the disposal of land of 3 Hyde Street in Invercargill. That wasn't included in the agenda originally because it wasn't ready at the time of publication of the agenda, and it's so that it can be processed in a timely manner. So the reasons outlaid on this screen here as to why we are taking that item in public excluded. Can I have a mover to receive that? Thank you, Councillor Ludlow. And a seconder? Councillor De Vries. All those in favour? And now we move on to the management of public safety from large trees failure on arterial routes, specifically the ones on Ellis Road and Queen's Drive. And today we have Chris Bowen and Carolyn Rain to speak to the report.
Kia ora whānau. Thanks for hearing this report. This report, Management of Public Safety from Large Tree Failure, was requested by Council on risk management options to ensure public safety. Risk management typically has three options. Minimise the risk is the current best practice. And the two other options within this paper are around the elimination of that risk and the isolation of that risk. I also want to just point out that within the next steps, on page 15 of your board books, it says 1 week to engage a contractor if that option is chosen, and that should be 6 to 8 weeks. There's just a correction within the report. But happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
All right, everybody. We have the options and recommendations laid out for us here in the paper, but a very clear decision or differentiation between option 3A and 3B. I will open the floor for any questions of, Councillor Pottinger.
Questions?
Questions. Questions
Okay,
of the report.
my question is, the wind strength got up to around 140 k's or something like that. My question is, at what kilometres per hour did the big tree outside Mitre 10 come down? Do we have an idea? Because obviously I see what some of the methods are alluding to, as if we have another forecast of 140k, it off. But do we know if that tree came down at 80 k's? You know, that's the bit I need to know. Or did it come at 90? What was the threshold that tipped that tree over?
Councillor Pottinger, I don't think we've got that exact data to be able to give you today. It came down at the peak of the storm. We'd need to go back to Met Service to find out what the wind speed was at that exact moment. We haven't studied that just yet.
That just influences, you know, the threshold of which, you know, if you have that again, or if we get 80 k's, could it do the same? You know, has it been put under a certain amount of stress that is now potentially weakened? I just don't. I see your options there, but I'd just like more information. That's all.
Thank you, Councillor Pottinger. We'll now move to Mayor Campbell.
Do we understand the reason why a particular tree would come down and those beside it would not in the same wind conditions? I mean, really my question is directed towards, have we identified there was a particular weakness in the tree, and I'm particularly thinking of the one that came down opposite Mitre 10, that was weaker than the others for a particular reason, or was it just typical of the others?
I think in the report, Mayor, it actually states that there was no health issues with the tree that came down. It was in good health and vitality. It was the wind speed at that time.
I was just trying to differentiate between one tree and trees next to it. There was no difference. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Dermody.
Thanks, Chair. Well, firstly, just a comment, having observed a number of properties that have experienced wind damage throughout Southland, the randomness of how trees have been affected is just unfathomable, really. So I don't think you'll get an explanation for why that tree came down or not, but good luck to that. My question is related to the cost, and is it the marked areas in the paper, they're the only trees that are you know, being considered for removal, and that's the costs associated just for those areas? Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So just on the corner of East Street and then down on Ellis Road, just on Ellis Road,
Sorry, it's
sorry, Dawn Street. Yes, it's Dawn Street, and yeah, okay, thank you.
Councillor Boyle.
My question was similar, really. There are two stands. I've been in as close as I could to get to have a look at them. So the one in Don Street, it's that stand right on the corner. Is that the one you're talking about?
That's correct.
Yes, and the one opposite Mitre 10, is it just those front ones and around the two roads? Is that what you're talking about?
On opposite Mitre 10 on Ells Road.
Only on Ellis Road. Thank you very much.
Councillor De Vries.
Thank you for providing the report to us. I think I'm going along a similar vein, because do you have the exact number of trees that are going to come down, and can you please also advise us on the breakdown of the quoted price of $500,000? How much is being spent on landscaping after the trees have come down, and how much is going to be spent on felling the trees?
So all of those costs are within the figure that's in front of you, but we're about to go through a procurement process, so I wouldn't want to put into a public forum the expectation of those costs.
So at this stage, sorry, can I ask another?
Supplementary.
Supplementary, yes. So at this stage, the quoted $500,000 is an estimate of the full scope of the project, but not divided down into the different stages.
That's correct. Also includes traffic management and all of those expected costs associated with this project.
So just to wrap that up, it's within it'll all occur within that funding envelope of the $500,000 allocated, if that's the way that the council chooses.
It's the current estimate.
Yeah. Thank you. Is there any further question? Oh, Councillor Lush.
Just explain to me how realistic the situation is with activating the emergency controls. I mean, as far as the timeframes, would that be, if it happened at the middle of the night, if the winds got up to scratch with that, how long would it take to get the personnel there to close the roads if we went with that second option?
We were aware of the orange wind event well in advance, so we don't often get that short turnaround that you're talking about. If it happened in the middle of the night, we often get a 6-hour window before these weather events hit. So yes, I think we can put in road closures if that's the option that the council wished to choose.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions from the table? No? All right. Well, we will, I think, probably for this one move straight to discussion, as we're not quite sure how we will eventually get there so far. So if anybody has something that they would like to say to the report, Councillor Stewart.
I'm not allowed to vote on this because I'm not on this committee, but
yeah.
I brought this subject up about 3 years ago, about the trees opposite Mitre 10 and the potential risk to the public. We're very lucky that the lights were green and the traffic was moving through the lights, and the cars behind had seen the trees behind the big trees fall over and stopped, and the other trees fell on the road. I think we're very, very lucky. I don't think we'll be that lucky next time.
Thank you, Councillor Stewart. Is anybody else? Councillor Boyle, then Mayor Campbell.
I think one of the major things that we have to consider is health and safety and our liability in terms of an event. If we went for option 3B and something happened that showed that we'd been negligent by not felling the trees, it would be the wrong thing to have done. So we have to think carefully, very carefully, about whether we could possibly afford to go down the 3B route, because who are we to say that it was going to be safe and it's going to be managed properly at the right time?
Thank you, Councillor Boyle. Councillor Dermody. Oh, sorry, Mayor Campbell. Thank you.
So I think we had an early warning, and we were extremely lucky, as has been said already, that nobody was killed, because it would not have been an injury, it would have been a death if one of those trees had come down and hit somebody. Picking up on Councillor Lush's point, it is difficult to see that we could be very confident that emergency controls could be activated in good time, given that you know, these things can just suddenly happen. In this case, we did have warnings of the wind coming through, but sometimes it just happens. So my own view, Chair, is that three not provide us with adequate confidence that we could, you know, avoid somebody being killed in the future. So therefore, I support 3A.
Thank you, Mayor Campbell. Councillor Derbydy.
Chair. Yeah, I'm a similar view as Councillor Ball and Mayor Campbell. You know, we were very fortunate that no one got severely injured or, in fact, suffered a fatality. There was a fatality at Alice Road. We have to take that warning that nature sent us to act urgently to make our main arterial routes safe from any trees that potentially fall on the network. So I too don't get a vote on this, but I'm strongly in favour of the removal of those trees. I think we also need to give consideration to other trees that could fall on our network to make our network safe, because if we do have an emergency, we will need our emergency service to get round if they're prevented by trees. You know, we've got a major risk, so we're sort of making the potential disaster worse by keeping these trees around our network. So I'm very in favour of the removal of the trees.
Excellent, thank you. Councillor Dermody. Councillor Lash. Oh, sorry. Councillor Pottinger, then Councillor Lash, and then Councillor De Vries.
Thank you. Look, just obviously, and I appreciate what everyone has said, and I think along the same lines as 3A, but what we're talking about and what we're evaluating is risk. Now, we have a risk and assurance committee. Now, does this appear, does it come under a part of that? Because obviously this is a severe risk, and it's being decided on by us in infrastructure. So what input does that committee have? I'm not sure who I'm asking, but someone in that direction, or that direction.
I might pass that to our CEO, Michael.
Thank you. Through yourself, Chair. Look, public safety in relation to our risk assessment is one that we do look to the risk and assurance in relation to updates, and we provide reports in relation to how we're mitigating those risks. They do not make decisions within that committee on assets associated to council facilities. So that is the domain of the other committees in relation to the actions to be undertaken. Risk and assurance is an information and alert component in relation to risk, and that's how we use that committee from a council perspective.
Thank you. I believe you were up next, Councillor Lush.
Yeah, I suspect that I probably are one of the few people in favour of option B, the defender of the trees. And I guess it's easy to overrate a risk after an event like this. It's in everyone's mind. We're very mindful, and we've got to be careful not to go to too much of an extreme to chop down, you know, a lot of trees. Having read the report, and those trees have been there a long time, I think certainly 100 years, perhaps longer. I think from the report that I read, it seems as though the fact that those trees have withstood 140 winds means that they are more likely to remain and last. So, in fact, in some ways, it looks like those trees probably are less likely to fall. Now they've done the assessment of the roots and they haven't been damaged by contractors going in there removing other trees. We're in a good position. So I think if it can be managed properly, you know, we're never going to abrogate risk totally. I mean, in this country, trees don't kill a lot. We had that situation, the gardens and those gorgeous gardens in Wellington, but those trees were left. But that was something that happened. I just think that it'd be a shame to make a decision too quickly and chop down trees, which are very much, that green belt is part of Invercargill. It's very much part of our heritage. I mean, it's very much a part of the visual beauty of Invercargill. To go too far, I think, would be a mistake.
Thank you. Councillor De Vries.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I think that the comments have been quite clear around most of the room, around the cost to human life and our our obligation to protect human life. Whilst, yes, it is important to protect the trees, I don't believe we should be putting the retention of trees over human life in our community. The reports that we've received haven't given me confidence that we have enough information about soil and root quality to be able to make a decision on keeping the trees. And they're also on key arterial routes, which means if they come down, they go on roads. This is not talking about trees in the middle of fields or middle of our town belt areas where there would be less risk. And the other thing I wanted to just quickly note is, which I alluded to in my questions, is the next steps would, if we were to agree on option 3A, the next steps would be to engage the contractor, but then to engage a landscape architect to design the reserve post-tree removal. And I'm wondering how necessary that stage or phase is at this time when we're under, a cloud of financial austerity. And I'm supportive of the trees coming down, but not necessarily the next phase yet.
Perhaps would you mind explaining why that piece is included in there at this stage and rather than not, can't form part of the wider parks program? Please.
So we have guiding documents on all our reserves. We both have a management plan and a tree plan that both informs that when we undertake work like this, that we have a plan to replace. And so it's part of our guiding documents that we have as wider council. Anything further to add?
That satisfy your question, Councillor De Vries?
Oh, no, this is engaging external consultants to provide us information on how that reserve should look after those trees come down. And this, we all know that we are under a period of where we have to tighten our belt in all manners. So I'm not confident that that is the best process to undertake straight away.
So if I'm hearing this right, would your preference be that it was included in regular parks programming and something else was deferred in order for that to happen? What's the outcome that you're looking for here?
Yeah, my preference would be that we bring the trees down, hold fire, give the land some time to rejuvenate, and then work it into our parks program over time.
Councillor Dermody?
I think that's a really good point Councillor De Vries raises around how you stage this. And Chris, yes, the parks management plan may say replace, but it possibly doesn't say within what time frame. And I know, having spent a lot of time in Queen's Park, when we removed the big trees down between the two fairways beside Queen's Drive, we did remove those. We planted with natives, and there's probably a third of those natives have been pulled out or ripped out or blown out. So, and to your point, they were immediately replanted. The ground didn't get enough time to sort of recover and, bind up enough to be able to enable the trees to bed in. So I think you've raised a really good point in the phasing of how you repopulate the land with vegetation / trees. Something needs to be considered. So, yeah.
Sorry, apologies, Councillor Ludlow, for accidentally skipping you. That is way you go.
Nothing like good skipping. I similarly am concerned at the risk to life over key arterial routes, and let's not forget that that's a key arterial route to Southland Hospital as well. I think we're in a time where we are seeing more frequent extreme weather events, and it's not like the old 100-year flood we used to refer to back in the 80s. These things seem to be happening more frequently, and now that we know the risk, taking some action is appropriate. I think with the trees that were affected, there will be undoubted effect on the root structures and ground stability from those that fell. And I agree with Councillor De Vries. I think there's a real difference between the arterial routes and something in the middle of a park. It's easier to close off a park. it's not so easy to close off an arterial route. Recognising the comment that Councillor De Vries made around our financial austerity and engaging an external consultant, I actually believe we have the capacity within council to provide us with that advice. And obviously there would be a dramatic visual change in the area, and if we're able to look at replanting with more established trees, they're not going to be 100 feet tall, obviously, but something that has a more immediate visual impact is possibly something that we consider, but I think that's for down the road. In the meantime, the risk is too great for me to be comfortable with.
Thank you. Councillor Ludlow. Councillor Lush.
Yeah, it did say in the report, the previous report, that overall the tree group in Invercargill is in good health. So despite that report, the trees did fall. I realise I've read the room and people seem to want the trees to go. Is there a compromise between that where we can severely prune those trees and they could still be viable, or would that be the end of them, and so they didn't have the tall trunks and they couldn't fall across the road?
So they're being managed at the height that they are, at the age that they are. I don't think we could prune them to an acceptable height without losing them.
Okay, it would kill them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Pottinger.
I'm just a bit amazed that this governance group is giving our Parks Department viticultural advice on stuff that we've had a proposal to tidy up the place to a standard after the trees come down, and I respect their foresight in doing this, and I don't think we're in a place where we can say, oh, do this, do that a bit less, do whatever. I believe we're overstepping our role of governance when we start telling these guys how to do their work, and I just want to make that point.
Thank you, Councillor Pottinger. That will be noted. For any further questions or comments? No one? Oh, Mayor Campbell.
Yeah, it's not a comment, but I would be happy to move 3A at this point.
3A, as it stands.
As it stands.
Yep. And Councillor Boyle, you're seconding that?
Does that include 1, 2 and 4? Going for 3A, you might as well deal with everything else.
That's a good point. Councillor Ludlow. And in doing that, are you suggesting that we take 3 separately?
No, I'm happy to take them all at the same time. I'm happy to move that we take them all at the same time.
And with 3A, you're recommending, obviously remove the B part there.
Yeah, 3. So it's number 1. So I'm moving that we number 1.
Yep. Number 2.
Number 2, number 3A, and number 4.
So number 4, and then the removal of 3B. So is everybody happy with what's in the number 4, 3A detail? Yep. Councillor Dermody.
So from here, if this is moved, then there will be a more detailed phasing of how this would be done. Is that what?
It would go through the regular procurement process, and then we would have a result from that. Is that right?
Come back through the committee, or it just gets done?
Through yourself, Chair, it is within delegations once it's been approved by this committee to actually be actioned based on the committees from management.
Councillor Ludlow.
Just a question that if you're looking at doing 1, 2, 3, 4 altogether, then maybe you could consider the recommendation to council, which is 6, which is still part of the same.
Sorry, I'm not following. What do you
The
including?
recommendation to
Yeah.
council, and so if you're taking 1, 2, 3, 4,
Include
skipping
6
5,
and skipping 5 and just
include
go
6.
6. Yeah. Everyone seconder happy with that?
Just point of clarity is that, following on from Councillor Ludlow, you can't just say 6, because 6 also encompasses the 3B option, H through to N. So if we go 6, we should stipulate A through to G.
Yes, it would be with the removal of the 3B option as well. Yeah, any reference to 3B is removed because 3A is the preference right through every time it's referenced in the resolutions. Is that your understanding too, as the mover and seconder, Councillor Boyle and Mayor Tom?
So I think I moved it. So we are moving number 1 as it stands, number 2 as it stands, number 3A as it stands.
Yep.
Number 4 as it stands, and number 6, the option 3A options, which are numbers A through to G.
Correct.
Right, so that is
Yep.
moving that.
Yeah, and everyone's clear that's where we are, that's what we're moving. Excellent. All those in favour?
Aye.
Anyone against? Would you like that recorded? Okay. Motion is passed. All right, moving on to tab 5, which is page 126 of your board books agenda, and that is the land disposal of 495 Bluff Highway. This afternoon we have Russell Pearson and Heather Guys to talk to the report. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair and Councillors. This report is really a supplementary, is an additional report to one we presented in July. This relates to us tidying up the work needed around the roundabout at Bluff Road and Lake Street, which has been recently created. What we identified was their earlier request didn't include the 495 parcel, which is also wetland, and subsequently we're seeking that this parcel can also be included in the delegation to the Chief Executive so we can negotiate for its disposal.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions to the report? No, it's pretty simple. We've heard this before as well. So we've got 3 recommendations there. 1 that we received the report, 2 that we authorise the disposal, and 3 to authorise the Chief Executive. Can I have a mover for that? Thank you, Councillor De Vries, and a seconding, Councillor Ludlow. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. And then we also have another one, very similar, practically linked together, for Alice Road, Bluff Road legalisation around the same area around the Alice Street roundabout. Would you like to speak to this one?
Certainly, and thanks for that opportunity. This is to do with us legalising the sections of the parcels where they align with the new road. So we've created the road and we're really aligning the boundaries. NZTA, who have been leading that project, have their agent WSP to work through that subdivisional process, and through that process it was identified that section 114 of the Public Works Act wasn't an area that was delegated to the Chief Executive for us to approve the subdivision document. So consequently, we need to come to council to seek approval. What has occurred at those lots is that we are proposing to close some roads and take some land from within those parcels that we've previously talked about, as well as some land from HWR Properties Group at that area, such that the road which is currently constructed can be legalised.
Excellent, thank you for that explanation. Do we have any questions on this one? No, everyone seems satisfied. There's 2 recommendations. Can I have a mover for those? Thank you, Councillor De Vries. Seconded, Mayor Campbell. All those in favour?
Aye.
Nice and easy for you this afternoon. Thank you very much for coming in. Next we have temporary road closures for the SBS tour of Southland. If you have been watching the news, you will have seen there's a slight change for some of the route in this. If you would like to take us through that. Thank you, Doug.
No worries. Kia ora, thank you, Chair. This is an annual event, the Tour of Southland. Yes, a slight change in route, I'm told. The stages are outlined within the report. So Queen's Drive from Layard to Bainfield, Bainfield from Munray Street to Queen's Drive. That is our the normal criterion circuit. The Bluff Hill, again as per, and I think the change there is the Donovan Park circuit finish with Queen's Drive and Bainfield. I'm happy to talk through the issues. We've consulted with the police and we'll be approving temporary traffic management plans as they come in prior to the event.
Excellent, thank you, Doug. Is there anything substantially different other than the route and the way that they're managing the traffic
No,
from
that
last
hasn't been
time?
highlighted, no.
No.
No, we're confident in what we've been submitted.
Yep. Excellent. So you are confident. Does anyone have any questions? Councillor Dermody?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Thanks, Doug. Just obviously, this is an iconic Southland event and New Zealand's most important bike race. We normally do an inspection of the roads just prior to make sure we've got rid of all the sort of humps and bumps and potholes and that sort of thing. Not only on the official circuit, but they do leave from the stadium and they head sort of towards where they start some stages. We'll be doing that to make sure the road's good for them.
Oh, it's axiomatic. We would inspect prior. Yeah, we don't want anything terrible to happen to people when they're out there. So.
Shame they're not going down Gala Street because it needs an upgrade.
Easier for me to get to.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe.
Excellent. Well, with no further questions, can I please have a mover? Councillor De Vries, you're getting a workout on that arm this afternoon. And Councillor Boyle. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. And Doug, you're up again.
Same
Don't go
thing.
too far.
This is the National Criterium Championship, and it's located around Donovan Park, around that circuit. And again, a criterion's a slightly different race, so they're not going to leave the area. Again, we're comfortable with what they're proposing, and good traffic management we put in place.
Any questions?
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Doug, I really like the way they've connected with the Waikiwi Rugby Club and using that as a base. I think that's a good sort of synergy of the service club working with Cycling Southland.
Yeah, I agree. Will do.
Thank you for that, Councillor Boyle. We've got 3 recommendations in the report here, nice and simple. Can I have a mover?
Just ask an additional question.
Sure.
Probably relates to this and the previous closure. Because there's a greater number of residences affected in full declaration, I'm one of them, but I mean, I've read it. No objection. Is there a greater program of making sure that they're aware and before Christmas, when many of them might actually still be away or just potentially coming back that weekend?
Through you, Chair, it is our normal process to contact all affected parties, and we'll be doing the same thing.
In a timely manner was really my point.
Through you, Chair, in a timely manner.
Excellent, thank you for that. Just a supplementary question to that, is it just by letter and dropped in the mailbox? Is that the
Through you,
current-
Chair, yeah, there's a number of different ways we do it. We certainly use social media and we use the newspaper, but in a closed area like that, we would definitely do a letter drop of some sort.
Excellent. Do we have a mover for that one, please? Thank you, Councillor Boyle. And a seconder, Councillor Ludlow. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. And now we have the night market.
Move the recommendations.
A seconder for that?
Second, yeah.
All right, Councillor De Vries, do we have any questions or comments? Any discussion to the 3 motions there? No? All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Tab 10, this is the one that you are going to abstain from, Councillor Ludlow.
Correct.
Would you like to talk to this one, Doug? Or I assume that it is the same, very similar to what was run last time. Are there any changes?
Through you, Chair, no, it's identical. We're comfortable again with the proposal.
Excellent. Do we have any questions around this particular event? No. We've got 3 recommendations in front of us, moved by Mayor Campbell and seconded by Councillor De Vries. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. All right. Well, that reaches the end of our in-public meeting, so thank you to everybody who has taken the time to watch our infrastructure meeting on the live stream. I will move that we go into public excluded to receive a health, safety and wellbeing update and a major late item. Can I have a mover for that? Mover Councillor Ludlow and seconded Councillor Lush. All those in favour?
Aye.
Ludlow and Lush.